Good afternoon, Yellow Army, and welcome to another edition of Inside Plainmoor. There's been a lot of positive news coming out of the club this week. Here's what the gaffer had to say about it. Well, welcome back, Yellow Army, and welcome back, Gary. How's your week been?
Yeah, you always ask me that question. I always forget to think about it before I come on. But it's been busy, to be fair. We're still doing quite a lot as far as I've done a lot in the house, funny enough. But I've done a lot of sorting out my papers from over the years. I'm a hoarder, and I don't throw anything away, and I've just put them in boxes of the clubs I was at, and just put the Bristol ones in there, Cheltenham, Torquay, Ketterings, and all the others, New Markets even. That was my first club as a player manager, but in Cambridge, of course. But so I've just got my home in order. Let's say that. At the same time, we've been doing quite a lot of Zooms. I didn't know Zoom existed until the lockdown. Do you know what I mean? I've done more Zooms than blinking a rocket. but than Elton John, maybe I should say. But anyway, so we've been busy, and I purposely wanted to keep myself busy. I've tried to keep myself fit, not on my own fitness regime, but somebody else's. My one's a bit dangerous. So okay, mate, like everyone else, hopefully, as long as everyone's staying healthy from week to week, then we can say well done and keep staying safe.
Well, I'll certainly work on the opening question for next week, but it sounds like you've got a lot of happy memories in there. Now, it's been quite a busy week, off the field, of course, at Plainmoor, with a couple of really positive stories featuring on the website over the last 7 days. One of those stories, of course, is one that you touched upon a week or two ago with JJ Evans and Owen Price securing their first professional deals with the club. Having spoken to them earlier in the week, they're clearly very excited to get going. Are you looking forward to working with them both as professionals?
I am. I always look forward to the development and how quick, they can become close to selection for the first team. Those two lads in particular, they've done enough training with the first team and with me and Downsy and Toddy, that they know what's expected of them. So when they're coming back, they're not coming back blind. They're not coming back not knowing how to cope with me if I'm in their ear, or coping with the other lads if they're in their ear. You know what I mean? So they're coming in having had some good experience last season with the lads, and that's a good way to do it, because it means that they're sort of ready to develop now, if there's development in them, which I'm sure there is. But it was a good interview. They both came over very humble. They both came over very excited, as you say, which is nice. And the big thing is being a parent myself of a footballer, and now obviously as a manager. It came over the pride that the parents obviously have in their son becoming a full-time footballer at this moment in time. Now, there's a long way to go for them before you can say they've had a career in the game. But it's a good start, a very good start for them. And they're two good lads, and they've both got their heads screwed on. And they're talking our language already. I listen to certain things that they say, and it's very much part of our ethos.
They've been well schooled by you already, Gary, haven't they? I mean, one of the things they've saying, they were highlighting the beauty of this link up with the college is that they've already had some time with the first team and with yourself already.
Yeah, the link has been fantastic. George Edwards and South Devon College and Dave Hedges when he was here. They did a great job. That was a great relationship with South Devon College, and it's proved obviously with facilities. Not only are we using the outdoor facilities, but we're also using and able to use their indoor facilities, which is second to none. When we do our previews on games, for instance, they have the biggest screen I've ever seen in my life. You know, just slightly bigger than the TV that we got. No, I'm joking. But it's a fantastic screen, and it's like a theatre type seating. You know, gradually staggering upwards. And there's no hiding place. If you've had a bad game, everyone can see you've had a bad game. If you've had a good game, everyone can see you've had a good game. So we used to go in there once a week, which was great. We used the weight room there, you know, for our strength and conditioning. So it's just been a great relationship. Now, you know, that relationship can only work if the college are bringing in the right players. You know, as far as these things will help when they advertise for footballers to come to the college at the, you know, 16, 15, 16, whenever it is they come, 15, 16, 17, and help those boys, which Toddy, that's the beauty of the link with Toddy as well. He can get them ready for when they come in to us, you know, the new ones, the new recruits, as it were. And so, you know, if you was a budding footballer and you wanted to, you know, give it a go to try and get into a football team, a professional football team, then South Devon College would be a good college to go to, because we do work very close with them. And if you've got ability, then there's a fantastic route from that route, from the colleges to us, because there is that close link. Of course, there's other routes as well, you know, that people take. But you know, and funny enough, we've this week, Don, we've been talking. I think I mentioned it last week, that we were going to have meetings with George Edwards, my staff, regarding the youth system going forward for the future. And I mean, probably the best way to explain it to you is that, you know, we had a list of a dozen points to talk about the vision for the future for the youth setup, because, you know, we picked up a couple of lads from last year, Olaf and Louis. We picked up a couple of lads this year, you know, so that's not bad as a ratio per year. We know that, you know, our under-16 team that will be moving up to the under-18s, most of them, that, you know, they've got some quality in their team, and we got some quality all the way down. So we wanted to make sure that we can work at our youth system and make it better. We had a nightmare last year because the games program was totally collapsed because of the weather that we had, and there was no pitches in the southwest, let alone in Torquay, that the boys could play their games on. So they missed out on quite a few games. So we're looking at more venues now, so that we don't have to cancel games. Let me tell you a few of the things, Dom, because you'll be interested yourself. It's first of all, we wanted to talk about the objectives and the guidelines for the boys. That's important, you know, and how do we take the whole schedule from the under-8 almost right through to the first team, you know, so they're aware of what club, you know, what our strategy of playing is and what we're looking for, etc., etc. The common aims, obviously, to develop the player. So we've got to get through to the coaches how we want these boys to train, the training program, when, where, and how often. That's important to lads, because they must be, you know, champing at the bit to start, you know, football. They can't yet, so, you know, we can't say, yeah, go ahead and start training, because it's, you know, the government are telling us you can't at this moment in time, and we'll have to wait a little while longer. But if we're patient, then we'll have a training program in place where everyone will know exactly what they're doing. Then we want a little bit more involvement to make sure that the parent trusts us for the holistic way of doing things. So it's not only their football, but we've got to take a little bit of interest in their education as well, because, you know, no manager likes a dumb footballer. So if you can, you try and get an educated footballer, because then he retains information, etc., etc. And also, you know, they're often humble. All those sort of things that we'll put in our mission statement, if you like. So all these things will be going out to parents pretty soon. George is putting a letter together once we've agreed everything, and that will go out to the parents and to the coaches, because they've done a good job as well, and they've tried very hard to keep the game programs going. Even they did find a bit of ground somewhere, etc. So it's important for that. The purpose of the program, obviously, is the identity of players with ability that can move upwards, onwards, and then eventually come into our first team. So there is 100% a route through there. We always talk about the vision for the future, not only for the first team, but for our youth program. And that's important because we have got to produce first team players. And if we do, that'd be fantastic. If suddenly, we've got 4 lads now, you would hope in a year or two's time, they would become regular in the team, homegrown. And that's what we're trying to aim for. We need a good scouting system. We got our coaches do a good job in trying to scout our area and get the best team that they can. We've got to talk to our staff. We haven't managed to speak to them yet, but as soon as we've got everything organised, we will do, if they're listening to this. We've got the games programme. It's normally okay with the JPL stuff, but for the cancellations on occasions, but mainly due to the weather. And we're hoping to do coaching courses for the boys as well through their holidays, so that we get to see them. It may even be alongside the first team, whether you're in the under 10s, under 8s, or whether you're in the under 16s. So that there's a little bit of an empathy with the boys, because at the moment the only real time I see them is when they come to games and they're telling me well done at the end of the game, or that wasn't very good, was it, Johnson? No, we haven't got any too many like that. But they come to the games, and that's good. So, but we just want a little bit of a closer contact with the lads, the coaches, and the parents, and that will happen. So school holiday games will be great. We want to make sure that the parents and the kids feel that they're getting what they expect, and that's why the manager, the chief executive, the assistant manager, and the youth team coach are all discussing that now, and how can we improve things for them, and that's it really. It's just the future. We hope if we will get all this together, and we will get it done. As soon as we get it done, the letter will be going out to the boys, the parents, and our coaches to say thank you first of all for sticking with us, and when they see JJ and Pricey coming through, then they'll know there's a route through.
Yeah, a couple of things to pick up on there, because it's obviously important to have parents that are on board with what their kids are doing as well. But it must be great to hear that the club's investing in actually developing the character of the players, not just their skills, but also it sounds like really strengthening this player pathway if everybody is singing from the same hymn sheet. Exactly.
We need to know who can cope with certain things. That as it will get more intense as they get older. Obviously the younger ones, it's really important to make sure they enjoy their football. They're with mates they like, and we don't. Some are early developers, some are late developers, and we mustn't forget the late developers, because the early developers tend to, at 8, 9, 10, 11, they're head and shoulders above everyone in their strength, sort of thing. So, but we got to make sure we don't lose the one that was a late developer, because generally they're good footballers as well, and when they do get their man's body and their man's mentality, they're good players. And I've had personal experience with that as a late developer. I think I'm still developing, but anyway, that's another thing. And obviously my son was also a later developer, but ended up having 500 league games and another 300 or 400 as a manager at the moment. So it didn't do him any harm just to wait that little bit until he became that man, if you like. So so it's all good news really from that side of it, because once George sort of gets his interest. You know, obviously when they came in, one of the big things they wanted was a strong youth system, and I think this is one of the first steps where we've all sat down properly and really going to thrash it out to have details of what this new program will look like.
So we've got that positive news that's come out this week, and another fantastic story that's come out has been the improvements that are being made to the Plainmoor pitch. That's another hugely encouraging development, isn't it?
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed because I thought we might be in the playoffs or something like that. You know, they might say, well, you know, we can give you the 3 games in hand points, and somebody don't want to play and all that. But no, it's fantastic that we're getting it come out of the blue actually. George surprised me sort of the day before, and that's great. It just shows that the club, you know, wants to move forward. It was important that, although I don't think we had any games cancelled last season at home, did we? I can't remember anyway. Although that patch near just in front of the dugouts there can get very, very boggy, and you know, as I say, the board want to improve everything they can improve when they can, and it just gives you a good feeling moving forward, because he's obviously found a different surface that can be laid along with a lot of the drainage that we did last year. You know, the improvements will mean a better pitch to play on more often, and that's lovely. It's great for fans as well when they come into a stadium and they see a, you know, absolute perfect pitch, and you know, our lads have got to you know, be pleased, because the way we play, we want to be playing on a perfect pitch if we can. I mean, obviously you've got away games and sometimes you have to adjust to certain pitches, but you know, you want to make your home a fortress, and that's a good way to do it. I remember in my Cambridge days, when John Beck was, you know, like playing long ball and kicking it in corners, and that, it was all percentage. It worked at the time. We trained on the pitch. The poor groundsman that before we went there, got groundsman of the year 3 years previous, 3 years on the trot. He was gutted when you know, we were training on the pitch every day. We didn't want him to roll it because it messed up teams that were playing football, and we was able to play the percentages at that time. At that time, we went through from, what was it, the old 4th division to 1 game away from what is now the Premiership. We got beat by Leicester. So that was then, you know, when it was quite new for everybody. And I don't want the kids now that are watching this to panic that I'm going to start lumping it forward. But it's just how, you know, your pitch indicates really how you want to play.
Yeah, it's this attention to detail. I mean, like you said, that you've given an excellent example there with the work you did with Cambridge. I mean, how important is it if you've got your home pitch to make that advantage count as much as possible? Obviously, the noise that the Yellow Army make, you know, that helps as well. But to make that pitch complement the way that you want your teams to play, how much of an extra edge does that give you?
Well, if you've got a good football team and you've put the right team together, then it's a good extra edge, because you've always got the other side of it where teams will enjoy coming to play at Plainmoor if they're football teams. So, you know, but you know that you're going to be playing on that pitch a lot more often than any one team that you're playing against, sort of thing. So we've got to, and it makes our players and our supporters feel, and it makes the manager feel, that the club is moving forward. You know, I've always said that a club always has got to be seen to be moving forward. I've said it before, if you're standing still, you're actually going backwards. And I think everything that the club's trying to do at the moment is going forward and improving things. So that sort of makes it quite exciting, and each little bit counts.
Probably at this point, it's good to make a special mention to United groundsman Julian Goldthorpe. He's one of the club's unsung heroes that many lower league clubs have and that they need.
Him and his staff, yeah. I mean, Jules has done great. Every now and again, he rolls his eyes at me when I say something, and we sometimes have to bring George in as an adjudicator and peacemaker. No, I don't think we've had a row yet. But, you know, sometimes a manager needs something, and because it's not only the pitch, of course, it's the training ground. So, you know, he came in at an unbelievable time again where, you know, two of our training pitches were just absolutely unplayable. One was playable once a week, and then that became unplayable. So our three areas that we use, and also we use that for the our boys structure, you know, youth team structure, just couldn't play on them. That was why the South Devon College AstroTurf was the only place we could use, and was perfect at that time. So, but Jules has had, you know, a lot of time to you know, sort out the training ground and that, and you know, I know he will do, so that when we go back, the training ground should and will look pristine. So long as the rabbits haven't come out again in force. But no, he does a great job, Jules, along with his staff, and credit to him. He's a good one.
Well done, Jules, if you're watching. We've also seen on social media this week that one or two players have been linked with the club. Whilst we appreciate, obviously, transfer activity is always going to attract interest with supporters, the circumstances that all football clubs find themselves in at the moment, I mean, it might be a little while yet before the club's able to make any moves to players, won't it?
Yeah, it's always difficult, the speculation, because you know, there'll be speculation, and then everyone will suddenly have an opinion on that player or that speculation, and it may be that you're not interested, and it may be that you are. I mean, you know, it also alerts other managers sometimes. I know there's not been a lot of speculation at the moment, but you know, as you quite rightly say, there's been a couple. But as a manager, you have to say that I can't comment on any speculation. You wouldn't expect me to, really, because at the moment nobody's actually signing anyone on forms, you know, on league forms, for the simple reason that we don't know when the league's going to start. So you know, you can't furlough anybody now. So that's too late. Only the ones that were at your club that you furloughed at the time can still be furloughed. So we have to wait until we know when we're getting back to training. Now, I don't think that will be too far away actually now, so long as everything goes quite well, you know, as we've always said, with the talks of the Premier League and the EFL, and even now there's a little bit of to and fro, and they still haven't worked out what the rules are and what they want to do, but they're getting there. And I think this next week coming up, I think we'll get a lot more answers, and we may even know the sort of start date that we can start back to training, because they've got a date when they need to finish. They've got a date for the cup final. They've already said there's no closed season. So those teams that have been playing will go straight into the next campaign, probably around maybe middle of August or something, you know, maybe something like that. So I still suspect that we'll be playing maybe the first couple of weeks in September, back in August, maybe, that's the hope. But we'll be in line then with everybody else hopefully when they start back. So that'll be, so not that long to wait now, I don't think, I hope.
No. And I suppose the one positive thing is that obviously this isn't just Torquay United we're talking about here, that, you know, aren't able to make moves to players. Everybody's in the same boat at the moment. In fact, Torquay United is actually some way down the line where, you know, some players haven't been offered deals with their current clubs, have they?
No, they haven't. And there's, what they say? They say there's like 1,500, 2,000 players that are out there at the moment. And clubs will be cutting down their squads, that's for sure, because, you know, they would have lost a lot of money one way or another over this time. And, you know, but as a management team, how long do we wait? You know, do we wait for the top player that suddenly wants treble what you can afford? You know, but I don't think there'll be the money out there for everybody, but I still think there'll be the finance for the top players, for the teams that have got the big money to lay out still. I.e., there will be teams that come down, if they come down from the second division, for instance, like Notts Counties and the Ovals, and they are up there because they still got the parachute payments. And then if that stays in line, then there'll always still be the clubs that have got the finances to get the better players. So we've got to be realistic, optimistic, but realistic, and we want to win the league. So a lot of that has got to be value for money. There'll be players out there that supporters think, God, they should be going out and getting them, and he should be here and he should be here. Well, there's so many things that you have to take into account. As we've said, where he lives, whether his wife's got a job in the area that they live, whether they want to move down, whether their kids are in school. It's you have to work very hard to get a group of 18, 19 professionals to win the league. It's not a remote place, but it's certainly more remote than if you lived in London, Manchester, Birmingham. And I've said that before as well. So the speculation will be out there, but don't expect me to comment on it because it's always a bit dangerous. All I can say is, trust me, and I'll get the team that I think will compete at this level, and that's my job, and that's how I'm thinking every day to try and do that.
Now, I suppose there's not been a lot from a National League perspective coming out, although yesterday, like you touched upon, there's been a few bits and pieces from the Premier League. They're going to be allowing 5 substitutes out of a possible 9 instead of the usual 3 from 7, which seems a world away from the National League. Any opinions on that yourself, Gary?
Well, my only opinion is that when you have subs like that, even where we have 3 from 5, I think having 5 subs is great because it gives more people the chance to play and feel like they're going to play. And obviously they're doing that because of the fitness. They haven't been in pre-season like they would do normally. I personally think that would be a good idea anyway, to have 5 subs. You get less injuries. You can bring on maybe a youngster when you're 4-0 up or something, So I know you can do that. And what I don't really like is okay, so if you're going to have 5 subs, just have 5 subs on the line, because otherwise you upset 4. They get changed, they get warmed up, and I know it can give you other options, but 5, you could have every position covered. Do you know what I mean? I always think it's great to have 5 or 3, but when you've got 3 and then you've got 2 lads that really, often I just give a couple of young lads an opportunity to be with us, and put those as the 2 extra ones, if you like. And then the 5 with 9, there'd be 4 extra ones. All where was it? I was at a particular club, and it was my first game, and it was Bristol, and there was like 15, 20 minutes to go in a game, and all the subs are like in front of me, and they're all doing the what's his name, Wicks? What's his first name? Joe. Yeah, Joe. They're all doing the Joe Wicks thing, showing me that they were ready to come on and that. And then when the clock went 14 minutes, there was no, there was no action anymore. They all sat down. And I said to now remembering they'd got relegated the year before, relegated or didn't do so well anyway. Yeah. So they're all in a little bit of a different mindset. I hadn't sorted them all out yet. And 14 minutes to go, there was no movement. So I asked my assistant, who's Keith Millen at the time, why suddenly are they all active before 15 minutes, after 15? He said, because they don't get paid appearance money if they don't play 15 minutes or more. So that is sort of the mentality of the subs. They're probably not that keen on being sub anyway. They wanted to play. But certainly the 4 that got changed, got up early, they've prepared all week to try and push for it. They probably, if they knew they wasn't going to be involved, would rather sit in the stand and watch and wait for the day that they get in the official subs that they could, either in the 3 that you bring on or the 5 that you bring on. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think it's a positive, but I think people are thinking, well, it'll help me pick the team on a Friday because I won't have a load of players that are upset because
Yeah.
9 of them won't know whether, you know, they'll all be classing themselves as subs. But some will be thinking, he's only saying, I'm only going to be one of the 4 that don't get a game here. So, and that's, I think, our players might think about it.
I mean, if they allow any more subs, it's going to be almost entering pre-season territory, which I always know causes a few stadium announcers a few headaches. But I think that wraps things up for another week, Gary. Thank you once again for joining us. In case anyone has missed any improvements going on the pitch this week, there will be a video at the end of this. But it's nice to see also you're wearing the blackout shirt, because that's the other thing that's been going on recently. The club shop has reopened, and looking very tidy there, Gary, with that.
Well, I've got paint on all my other stuff. Creosoting the blinking fence. But yeah, no, that's right. Well, you got the email, didn't you? Black. It was about wearing black today. So well done, mate.
Well, thanks again, Gary, for joining us today. And here's the video of the work on the pitch. But we'll leave you, as we always do. Take care, keep safe, and we will speak to you again very, very soon.
Yeah. See you soon, everyone.